Facebook changed the rules again.
Yes, they did. Even
No.
we did 4 or 5, and then we had to reconnect it all. I mean, it just bumped it all. So, but here's the thing. I want to start off by saying we're live. This is a
We're
huge
live.
live stream, and I'm
Yeah.
delighted to have you, Debbie Sardone, with me on the live stream because you're not only do you have a breakout session at the huge convention, you're going to be speaking on the main stage. You got a TED Talk from the main stage. So I just want to say hello. Thanks for joining us. And then I'm going to tell a story. So how are you before we get rolling?
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. And I'm so excited because when I was looking at the huge convention website, somebody else pointed this out to me and they said, "Oh, Debbie, you're the only female on the main stage." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. I hadn't even noticed."
Yeah.
So it's an honor to get to
that's
speak
great.
again at the huge convention. Yeah, it's so exciting. Thank you.
Cool. Well, every once in a while, I'll segue from our conversation and welcome people to the, thanks for joining us live. We got Barry at Little's Pressure Washing. Thanks. It's cool. You're coming 3rd year in the row. This is awesome. So we're going to see you in Nashville in 28 days, by the way, 28 days from today. I'm very excited. So I wanted to tell a story that kind of sets the stage because there are a lot of things special about you, Debbie, that people need to know. But this is to set the framework that I really do believe in miracles. So I'm in Western Montana, and yesterday we get a weather alert that says, hey, high winds are going to blow through. There's going to be a big rainstorm. We've been dry as a bone for weeks. We've had wildfires, and I live out in the woods. It's heavily wooded area, and man, last night, 9 o'clock, as predicted, giant windstorm, 60, 70 mile an hour winds, and like nothing happened around our house. And this morning I was leaving, and I saw a neighbor 2 doors down, and everybody lives on about 5 acres, so he's a ways away. And I said, "Everybody okay at your house?" He said, "It's a miracle." I said, "What's up?" There's a family there. 2 kids, the parents and the grandfather live in one home, and the grandfather has kind of a cottage that's attached to the back. He always goes to bed at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, he gets in bed, and like 9:31 or 9:01, he goes, "Oh, the wind's blowing. I left my hammock tied up outside." He sits up out of bed, walks to the door, and a tree fell on the house and crushed his bed. So he meant like 15 seconds after he stood up, it crushed, and he was unharmed. Nobody was hurt. They got property damage, but it's like the kind of thing that I asked him. I said, "Is that normal for your dad?" He goes, "No, he never, like once he hits the bed, he never gets up." Like that is a miracle.
Well, you know what we call that in my world? We call that a God thing. That's a God thing.
100% a God thing. So the reason I told that story is because, we could do a big introduction and talk about Debbie Sardone and Debbie Sardone Consulting and how you've built a multi 7-figure business that runs without you in the cleaning service. You've taught hundreds and even thousands of people to do the same. But one of the things that's most remarkable is you set up a nonprofit and you spearhead cleaning houses for free for people that are fighting cancer. And that, like, how long has that been going on, and how many has your outfit cleaned at this point?
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Thank you for mentioning Cleaning for a Reason. It's going on close to 20 years. I think this might be our 19th year as a nonprofit, Cleaning for a Reason. And we've served about 55,000 families with the gift of free house cleaning, no strings attached, no charge whatsoever while they're battling cancer, about 55,000 families. And that's totaled close to $20 million in donated services through our network of about 1,400 residential house cleaning companies throughout the entire U.S. and Canada. So I can't take the credit. They're all doing the hard work. And my cleaning company is also a part of the nonprofit. So we clean a lot of patients every year ourselves.
Yeah, I just think that's so wonderful. And it's got to be like I'm certain you've heard hundreds of stories. I mean, like the response that gets is like that little ray of sunshine to bring into the moment where somebody's in the fight. I think can change a life.
Well, we've heard from women who have sent us emails or sent us letters in the mail. And I can always remember one particular woman who said when she got her diagnosis, it was like stage 3 breast cancer.
Wow.
She didn't tell her family, but she had already written her life off, right? Their family knew she was battling cancer, but boy, they were all going to fight it with her and they were going to rally around her. But she told us that mentally, without telling her family, she already wrote herself off. She was not expecting to live.
Yeah.
And she said, but the day I came home to a clean house that Cleaning for a Reason had provided, she said, I walked through the front door and she said, for the first time since my diagnosis, I felt back in control of my life. And I felt a rush of confidence that I would beat my cancer.
Wow.
And that's when I realized, Sid, that Cleaning for a Reason does more for these cancer patients than just provide a clean home.
Yeah.
It helps provide some normalcy back when their whole life is spinning out of control. And we've got dozens and dozens of stories similar to that. It's been the most rewarding thing I've been a part of.
That is so excellent, and I love it. And that speaks to a lot of your character. You're very generous. You're generous with your knowledge. You're generous with your time, like now being on a live stream, and coming to the huge convention to speak. But that was one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure to have invite you to the convention to speak this year. I wanted to this is a really leading question, but get ready. You won't have to swing very hard. It's a softball.
I'm ready.
But I want people to understand, like get to know you a little bit and see how you help people so well. So I mentioned earlier, you've got a significant 7-figure cleaning service in your area. Is it Buckets and Bows? Buckets and Bows.
Buckets and Bows Maid Service.
Fantastic. And
you can tell it's an old-fashioned name because I started it 40 years ago.
Okay. Well, so with that, I mean, 40 years, you've grown, and there's there are growth obstacles and challenges and plateaus and then accelerations and things. But like, what's the secret sauce to building a business that can run without you? Or is it fundamentals, or is there a silver bullet?
Well, I believe the secret to growth and wealth is in the basics. It's in the fundamentals. Usually what happens is as our businesses grow, we complicate it and we make it very difficult to scale. If I had to share the secret, when I was struggling, which was, 25 plus years ago, when I was struggling, I was ready to give up. I was sick and tired of my own paychecks, having to, hold it. And honey, don't cash my paycheck because I had to pay my team and I don't have any money left over for us. And, working long hours, end up working weekends, just, what it's like when you start your own business. You don't really know what you're doing. Every step you take is through trial and error. It's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. And that's when you want to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
I would say that the biggest secret that people don't realize is don't do it on your own. You're never going to figure it out. You're going to get yourself only so far. And that's where I was. I had gotten my business to about 600,000 a year in revenue, which was pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
At least from the outside observer, it looked successful, but on the inside, it was a train wreck and I was miserable. And I found a consulting firm. I mean, this was back before the days of Zoom. None of us were using the internet. We didn't have email. There was nothing in the cloud. And I hired a consulting firm. Wow. And they turned my business around. It was very expensive. And 9 months later, we passed $1 million. Now that was 20 plus years ago. So that was like $2 million business today.
Yeah.
And if I had not have found a consulting firm to help me just fix what was broken, Sid, think of your business, all of us that start our business as bootstrappers. Think of your business as a set of beautiful tiles, right? We're so proud of every tile we've laid in place. But what's missing for most of us is the grout. And that's why when you start walking across the tiles, they start breaking, because we're scaling or trying to scale. We're trying to grow through sheer grit instead of through proven systems. And so when I got help, I got professional help to help me. I fixed 4 or 5 things, my business took off. And then I was on my path to building a self-running business, which I've been retired from our service business, the cleaning business, for about 14 years. And all I do is meet with my CEO once a week. And we're doing well over $3.4 million today with 60 employees, and very, very great profit and very little chaos.
Yeah.
Nothing like it was
right.
5 years ago when I wanted to quit and walk away.
I think everyone can relate to the chaos in a business when you're building themselves. Josh, good to see you on here. Want to say hi to everybody that's jumping on live. Thank you. Thanks for spending your time with us. This is going to be fun. Make sure and just take a second and share this live stream into a group or two that you frequent, so more people can enjoy, learning from Debbie and get to meet her and just share the love. So I think, and Josh won a ticket to the huge convention last night on our live stream. So,
oh, wow. Congratulations, Josh.
Well done.
Good job. Awesome.
There we go.
To see you.
So chaos in your business. Now it's interesting though. So once in a while I'll talk about the days before, like we didn't have forums. There were no Facebook groups. There was no YouTube videos on how to do this and how to do that. And it was this dry desert of information. What gave you the like, how did you come up with the idea of like, I need to hire a consultant and pay them more than I think I should to fix a problem?
Yeah. Pay them more than I had, right? Mm-hmm. I had to pay them more money than I had. So think about it, Sid. If you rewind about 25 years ago, so it was 1996. Mm-hmm. No YouTube didn't exist.
Yeah.
No Facebook didn't exist. No Google. I used to go to the library and look up on microfiche to look for books on cleaning. That's how old I am.
I know what you're talking about.
Books on cleaning. Yeah. And the only books you could find, the only knowledge out there was how to clean.
Yeah.
How to clean a building, how to buy supplies, all this stuff. So I won't go over all the details, but somebody recommended to me one of the largest consulting firms at that time in the country, which was out of Chicago, Illinois, a firm called George S. May. And they're in Chicago, Illinois. And apparently they did consulting all over the country. And I remember I was on my last, this was like burn the boats.
Yeah.
Right. Burn the boats. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to go bankrupt because I'll never be able to pay this bill. And there was a question about whether they would even take me on as a client. Here I am, this little cleaning business. And instead of 10 employees who cleaned houses, I had 10 independent contractors, 1099 workers. So, they had a policy, you have to have 10 or more employees to qualify to work with us.
Yeah.
But they made an exception. Yeah. They made an exception to take my 40 grand. So you got to realize this was 1997. 40 grand was probably like 80 or 90 grand, like $100,000 training program today.
Yeah.
And I mean, I maxed out every credit card. I went to the bank and drew out a line of credit. Then I drew out another line of credit. Then I think I actually sold one of my children. I'm pretty sure we had 3 kids back then, but I had to sell one to do this program. Just joking for all those people that can't take a joke.
Just kidding.
I found a way.
Just kidding.
I didn't find an excuse. I found a way, and I invested that 40 grand. Now, it did take me years to pay it off, but it was the best investment I've ever made in my life. I took that 40 grand and I turned it into millions. So, I mean, the secret is don't do it alone. When you get stuck, think about what's it going to cost you to stay stuck. And I knew that if their advice worked, then I would make millions and the 40,000 would feel like nothing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously nowadays you can get help for way less and you can get free help on YouTube, but there was nothing available. And I've never regretted it. It was the best investment I've ever made in my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, Michael Gerber's book rings so true with the, the E-Myth and the E-Myth Revisited, that most of the time we start a business and we're like, I'm a good technician. I know how to work hard. I'm really great at this thing, but I don't know diddly squat about how to actually run a business. And that's just now
Right. How to
gaining
scale it.
ground and traction.
Yep. It's one of my favorite books is the E-Myth. I read it every year for many, many years.
Mhm.
Since then, I've read other great books and I don't have time to read that one again, but it's one of my favorite books, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so what's been your experience? What generally happens when you ask someone who's more successful than you for their help? What normally happens?
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because my talk is on how to monetize your knowledge.
Mhm.
And, in my talk, I talk about there's 3 phases to monetizing your knowledge. And we just touched on the first phase, right? Phase 1 is you learn how to clean, and so people will pay you to clean. And in phase 1, you're doing the work. And then if you do some scaling, if you scale the business, you're going to start managing the work.
Mhm.
And that's phase 1, right? Of really taking what you know and being able to sell it. But then when you enter into phase 2, most people don't even know that there is a phase 2. And that's when people say, "Hey, Sid, could I take you to coffee sometime and pick your brains?
Mhm.
Could I take you to lunch and ask you a few questions about how you did it?" Right? That is what I call phase 2 in monetizing your knowledge. And many people never enter phase 2. They never learn how to take that knowledge and charge for it. But when you reach somewhere between the top 1 or 5% of your industry, right? So in the maid service industry, you're in the top 7% of all maid services when you go above $1 million. So 93% of all other maid services are below $1 million. And so once you hit 2 million and 3 million, you're in the top 1% of every maid service in the country.
Yeah. Wild, right?
That's when people start coming to you. Like, "Can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch?" And you start phase 2 of monetizing your knowledge just by giving away advice and helping other people and discovering you actually have some information that's really valuable. And it starts in phase 1, which is how I started, Sid. And that is you just let people take you to lunch and you start sharing with them how to solve their problems in the industry that you've developed this tremendous skill and knowledge in. And then eventually word gets out and people invite you to speak at the trade associations
Mhm.
or the big convention. And you still may be speaking for free, but you're becoming known as a category expert.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this.
It's a lot of
With that,
fun. It's very rewarding.
yeah, we have that lag. I'll try not to
I know
talk
we have
over
a
you.
lag, so I'm trying not to talk over you.
So when you got category 1, category 2, or the phases, but what is normal is that when you do something repeatedly well, it's so normal and mundane to you that you don't realize that it's miraculous to someone else. Like your knowledge and your understanding
100%.
it will change someone's life, but I don't think about that. I'm
Yeah,
just going about my business. And so
right.
at what point do you go like, oh, not only am I people are taking me to lunch, people want me to speak, where you go, oh wow, I really am an expert and I really can teach this. And you build that understanding and that confidence to not only do the thing, but to share the thing in a way that others can use it. What did that take for you?
Exactly. So you're 100% correct in that you don't even realize that you've built something great when you're working in your business. And yeah, you see your competitors aren't nearly as big as you are or as successful as you are, but you have no idea that you're actually doing something that most people will never do,
Mhm.
whether they spend a lifetime trying to do it or not. And so once you start sharing your advice with people and you start speaking at conferences or trade associations, you discover that most of the people around you are about half the size of your business. And what you thought was common knowledge, you discover is very uncommon knowledge.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll discover you have a unique formula. you have a unique process. And that is where you can enter in phase 2, you can begin to charge, because in the early days, I kind of stumbled on this coaching business. It
Mhm.
absolutely same thing with my cleaning business, right? It was kind of by accident. I needed money. I started cleaning houses and it blew up into one of the largest maid services in the country. It wasn't a plan.
Yeah.
It was a need. And same thing with coaching. I started coaching one-on-one for free, just helping people struggling, because I would meet them from around the country. They weren't my direct competitors. I'd meet them at conferences, trade associations. And eventually, there were so many people saying, "Can I please work with you? Can you please let me pay you?" And that's when I realized, people would pay me for this? And so I've built a whole system to teach people how to monetize their knowledge. You can make $500 to $1,000 an hour giving your authentic advice. And then in phase 3 of this whole process of not monetizing your knowledge, you can take it from one-on-one coaching, earning maybe an extra 6 figures or more a year, to take it to the masses in phase 3. And I call phase 3 multiply. And that's where you move from one-to-one to teaching one to many,
Yeah.
and really teaching your system and sharing your system with the world. And that's where you can add 7 figures and more to your income without buying more trucks, without
Mhm.
hiring more people to manage, right? Without doing more of the work of your primary business, just by becoming the category leader in your field, And that's the trick.
Yeah. And that sounds like that's very similar to, you grow a business, call it a cleaning business. You start one to one. You can clean one house at a time, one window at a time, one whatever. And then as you grow, then you hire others. And now you can do many.
One to many.
Yeah.
Same.
And then you just keep going. So I'm sure you're aware, Donald Miller, or know of Donald Miller. He's our keynote this
Yes.
year. Yeah.
He's incredible.
But
He's
yeah.
I love Story Brand. I read that several years ago. I
Yeah.
have the Coach Builder. I mean, he's a perfect example of a person who has monetized his knowledge, and he's helping so many people, and he's not buying more trucks, and he's not hiring, more teams. It's an exciting and incredible way to give, to help, to serve, and to monetize.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm excited that because there's a certain number of people in the that will be in attendance that when you talk about monetizing your knowledge, it's gonna trigger and sink in, and they go, "Oh my gosh, this is," because they'll exactly what you said. People
I
go,
have something valuable up here that
"Yes,
doesn't take more hands, more tools, and more people to manage, which, got to be honest, is a lot of work in managing people.
it's a lot of work."
And I can monetize this 20 years or 10 years of expertise that basically I gained through trial and error,
Mhm.
blood, sweat, tears, and cost. And I can help somebody else shortcut 10 years or 20 years, or I can help somebody not fail and lose their life savings because they invested, but they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And there's a lot of people in the huge convention that will realize for the first time, hey, I'm already in phase 2. How do I get paid for that? How do I get paid for my advice? And I think I can move to phase 3 quickly. How do I multiply that? And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go deep on that on my breakout, because obviously I only have 15-minute TED Talk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to introduce the 3 phases and what's possible for people in the service industry. And I get there's all kinds of coaching. You can sign up to be a Brian Tracy certified coach, a performance coach, a focal coach, but those aren't category experts, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I like to share is people in the service industry never think about the fact that they already are a category expert. If they are, obviously, if they're failing in business, they're not. But they, in all likelihood, if you've been successful, especially more successful than the average in your industry, you are already a category expert. And I truly believe the secret to the success of my coaching business is I refuse to coach outside of my expertise.
Mhm.
I've had people say, Debbie, can you coach me in my automotive business? I can, but I won't.
Right.
Will you coach me and help me grow my janitorial business? Please take my money. Will you coach me grow my janitorial? I can, but I won't, because I want to be number one in my category. I'm going to refer you to
Yeah.
Ricky Regalado or Mike Campion if that's what you want. And so people don't realize that you can monetize your deep level of expertise inside your specific niche. And that's where the money is, and that's where the impact is.
So thank you on that. I'm going to put a comment on the screen here from Barry from Little's Pressure Washing, because I believe the more you niche, you've heard people say the riches are in the niches, but you could say this is how to do a successful power washing business. But Barry is like, I get approached every day about how to acquire and maintain gas stations across the U.S.
That's a niche inside of a niche.
Yes.
And Barry, you can be the best in the world at how to get those gas station accounts, because how many other power washers do you have to compete with if you just emerge tomorrow and say, I want to be a power washer coach? But if you niche your niche, right? So my niche is cleaning, right, Sid? But I niched my niche.
Yeah.
No, I'm not just cleaning, because there's power wash cleaning, there's building cleaning, there's all kinds of cleaning.
Yeah.
And my niche is residential home cleaning. If you want to build the biggest residential home cleaning business, you come to my program, hands down. So yeah, that's a perfect example.
Right. And you mentioned earlier when we were talking, before I say this, got to say hi to the Water Boys. Glad you're here. Thanks for popping in. You mentioned, you said, hey, I've got a thing or a download so people can do some pre-work. Yeah. I don't want to call it homework, but you can be prepared and more prepared for what you're going to teach when they're at the huge convention. So I'll put this on the main screen. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Barry, you're the perfect person for this, or anybody who thinks that they do have a level of expertise that they might be ready to monetize. Just take my little assessment, right? And it's going to get you thinking about some of the questions I'm going to ask you. It's really short. I mean, you're talking 5 minutes here. Take my assessment. And then when you come to the huge convention on Friday, the 23rd, I'm speaking at 9:15. So you'll hear my 15-minute TED Talk, and then come to my breakout. I'll have a whole hour to teach you everything I can teach you in an hour about how to monetize your knowledge in phase 2. Phase 2 can be so lucrative if you never, and a lot of coaches never go to phase 3. I'm just very fortunate that I discovered there is a phase 3 and I built it. But phase 2, you can make $500 to $1,000 doing what Barry just said. He said, I love helping others. So it's like, oh my goodness, I get paid to help. Well, I would do it for free if I had all day long for free. Obviously, I didn't. But it's so fun and it's so rewarding to help other people.
Yeah. And so you and my wife and you will probably talk at the huge convention. And I know what she's going to tell me when we get home, because she'll tell me all the time. People are like, Sid, can we do this? Can you, like, I've got this question and I've helped a bunch of people start their own businesses. And she's like, Sid, stop giving it away for free. You just let them pay you for this information. I'm like, I just love helping people.
It is so fun. And you want to turn it into a, you know what? I like your wife. I like the way she's thinking. What's her first name? I'm going to find her.
Her name is Denise.
Denise. So there's a way to start, right? So the hard part is when you're serving your friends and your colleagues, right? And you're helping people for free. It's like, how do you make that leap? It's a very awkward leap if you don't do it right. And I have a formula for the leap.
Okay.
And that leap is where, how do you go from giving free advice to saying, and I'd like to be paid for that, right? That can crash and burn in a heartbeat, and nobody wants that. So there is a way to make the leap, and it's so simple and it's so powerful. And the truth is, Sid, and I bet you have been able to, you've seen this, those who pay attention.
Yes.
And how many times have we sat with somebody and gave them the same piece of advice for the third time and they still haven't followed you?
Yes.
And you feel like, I'm not going to meet with you again, right? Because those who pay attention. They truly value what you say. And then you end up using your time to help the right people, right? To help the right people. So if you don't eventually, and so this is my challenge to you, Sid, because I know you have a depth of knowledge that people need. If you don't monetize it, then you're very limited as to who you can help for free. And what happens is we end up helping the wrong people for free. And the people who truly need us and who will take every word you tell them and follow through and implement, those are the ones you won't have time to help. So you
Wow.
do have to make that leap to monetizing your knowledge. And there's a right way and a wrong way, and most people are doing it the wrong way, and it kind of blows up in their face.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's remarkable. You touched on it earlier, and I think this is the right path across the board. So I grew up thinking if you don't do it yourself, it's not going to get done right. All of my personal value was tied to how hard I work and how many hours I work. This is from a child growing up on a farm, and that was all they talked about. It's like, you got to make a hand, you got to do this. And then the mantra, or not the mantra, but what I was taught as a kid was like, if you don't know how to do it, you just figure it out. Keep trying until you figure it out. Now that has a value, but in business world, that is the longest path to knowledge and success. Like you did for 20 years, like I did for 20 years, and just hammer away and make all these mistakes. When you go nowadays, you do not have to do that.
Yeah.
Hire a coach, hire a consultant, read the book, find a person that's been there, done that, and say, can you show me the way? Show me where the landmines are buried. And just like, you can shortcut the whole learning curve. Now, and I'm sure you do the same. Like I pay consultants, I pay mastermind, we wanted to learn a new skill to add it. And I didn't go, we can figure this out. We could. But I was like, I'm flying to Dallas and I'm going to spend $5,000 and I'm going to get the guy that knows it inside and out. And he's going to teach me in a weekend what would take me 10 years to learn.
And what would it have cost you to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure it out? What would it have cost you, not only in personal time that, hey, your time is priceless, but in money you didn't make because you didn't know how to do a thing? The cost of not knowing is far greater than the cost we think we're saving by trying to figure it out ourselves.
It's true. Okay. Somebody asked me recently, they're like, it was in the same context, and they're like, they asked the question to the audience. They're like, how much would it cost to try to learn it yourself? And I raised my hand and they're like, Sid, I'm like, 19 years is what it cost me.
Ooh, good answer.
That's exactly how long it took me to learn stuff on my own and then go, this is not fast enough. I need to hire somebody.
So what's 19 years worth to you?
Yeah. Oh, nowadays,
yeah.
I mean, when I was 19, I didn't feel like it was worth, but think about it.
Right.
Yeah. 38 now, 19 years. I'm like, a
100
year
million.
is worth $1 million.
If you said I'll trade you 19 years left on your life, or I'll give you 100 million right now and you're dead in a year, we're going for the 19 years. I don't want the 100 million. I'd rather have my 19 years.
Yes. Yeah. I need my time. That's this is not the topic of our conversation, but you're probably familiar with this new recent release. I'm like, yep, I got to have my time back.
Dan Martell. Yep.
Yeah. I love what, my main man here from Waterboys put up, that repeating, those who pay attention. That's why he bought the VIP ticket the day it came out. He's like, go. So
I can tell that's probably a very successful business owner, because if you're looking for the cheapest route, it's going to take you forever. But if you can buy the VIP pass, if you can buy the platinum level of a program, do it, because you will 10x that investment by taking it more seriously, investing in the best. I always tell people, Sid, don't look for a cheaper coach. Look for the best coach. Like when I find the right consultant or the right program or the right coach or the right software, I don't even ask how much, because I know it's going to 10x. And eventually I find out, and sometimes I faint while I'm writing my check. But it's like, don't look for the cheapest way. Look for the fastest way. What is that 19 years worth to you?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And it's a huge convention. So
it is. It's huge. I love it. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Well, I know we're going to meet Austin. Thanks, Austin, for popping in your name. I had it from a couple of weeks ago and I couldn't bring it to mind when I saw your business name, but I'm looking forward to meeting you at the huge convention as well. So listen, before we wrap up and hop off, first of all, thank you very much, Debbie. It's good to see you again. Thanks for taking your time to be with us. Is there anything else you want to share or like plant a seed for people before they come to the huge convention. It's 4 weeks from today. You will be
It is.
teaching.
I know. I'm really excited about it. So make sure you go to debbiesardone.com/expert and just fill out that little assessment to get you thinking about, am I in phase 2? Could I monetize my knowledge, create a second passive income, coaching and helping others? So that'll kind of prime the pump for your thinking. Attend my main stage talk. It's only 15 minutes. So I'm going to be sharing the 3 phases.
Mhm.
And that'll be at 9:15 on Friday, the 23rd. But then mark your itinerary to come to my breakout, because that's where you can ask me questions. I'm going to pour into you everything I can about phase 2, so you can go out and make some money right away and start changing lives if you have expertise in your category.
Excellent. So for those of you who are looking, you're like, I wonder what time that breakout session is. The full schedule is on our website at thehugeconvention.com. So you can check it out. You can see everybody that's speaking, and you go find Debbie on Friday and go, bing.
I think I'm at 3 p.m., but double check the schedule and just make sure you plan to be there.
Yeah.
I want a full room, guys.
100%. All right, cool. Well, I can't wait to see you there. And I'll make sure and introduce my wife, Denise, to you so you can tell her what I need to do, and she'll tell me, and then I'll do it. So
I can't wait to meet her.
All right. Thanks again. Thanks for your time. And I'll see you 4 weeks from today.
All right. I'll see Austin and Barry, the Water Boys, and everybody else in here. Can't wait to see all of you.
You got it. Have a great night. Thank you.
Take care.